Your ascendant sign or rising sign. So I have another video that you should watch. Why the hell is the rising sign so important? So I'll put the link below. I have a unique take on the rising sign. Some people might think I don't like rising signs. They are the mask you wear. They are the defense mechanism you have to the world. But they are also, interestingly enough, the point at which you enter the earth. This becomes the environment that you're born into. Is it the chicken or the egg? Were you born into this environment and then that became your personality because it was what surrounded you? Or were you that way in a past life and then you come into that particular point in time to this earth because that's what you are? Well, I think it's both. We're born into an environment where this projection of who we wish we were is seen as positive. Our environment, our parents, our family, our culture, our church group, whatever, they want us to be this. They might even think that this is who we are. If your rising sign is the opposite sign of your sun sign, I'm sorry. Because you probably feel like your parents don't really know who you are. You might be 35 years old and they still have no idea who you are. That's kind of painful. If you have the same rising sign as your sun sign, that's awesome. There's an authenticity that comes across with you. You are so used to being true to who you are. That is great. If your rising sign is square to your sun, this is also an uncomfortable position where you probably feel like it's really hard to step into your sun sign. You just don't feel exactly comfortable being your true self. When we're kids, we usually look a lot like our rising sign. As we get older, we start to look more like our sun sign or our moon sign, especially if we start becoming that. You are what you eat. What you are inside starts representing itself to your exterior self. It's important to know what your rising sign is because you might be carrying a bunch of weight from the past that we can then release in this video. Be able to embrace more of who you truly are. The rising sign, it's the movie we're watching of what we think the world is because the environment we were born into said, hey, Cancer ascendant, you are a Cancer. You should act like a Cancer. We're going to reward you for being a Cancer. And the whole world we put around you is also going to see you as a Cancer. So in a way, our rising sign is less about who we really are, and it's more about what we see and project the world as. We act a certain way because this is our strongest foot forward in the world around us. Your ascendant is how you go about getting things. When you're little especially, let's say you're a Cancer ascendant. Your dad is watching TV and you want to watch your movie. And you go in there and you give the most cute, adorable, innocent little Cancer big eyes. And of course, nobody can resist. Or you're an Aries ascendant. And so you just go in there and you just change the channel. Take that. An ascendant is also how you survive elementary school and your siblings. When we become nervous, when we become uncomfortable, when we feel like we can't be ourselves, when we feel like somebody wants a fake presentation of who we really are, in walks the rising sign. Ta-da! Very useful to have. But to be happier in life and to be more of who you really are, being authentic is what it's all about. So become more like your sun sign, become more like your north node, become more like your moon sign. And don't let anybody force you into, you need to act a certain way to please them, Libra. Now, am I recommending to just lose all the traits of your rising sign and pretend like it doesn't exist? Treat it as something negative? No, of course not. A defense mechanism in nature is very useful. There are going to be situations where your rising sign is going to be very good for you to have. Like in a job interview, when someone's trying to treat you poorly, you can use your rising sign as a protection mechanism. All right, so without further ado, your ascendant. Taurus ascendant. Taurus ascendant was born to the earth in an environment where they were rewarded for taking a more slow, methodical, practical approach. Maybe your parents were not romantics, or your parents were all over the place and scatterbrained, and you were that slow, steady voice of reason that they really needed. A Taurus ascendant is going to be rewarded for doing things more logically, a great planner, planning everything out. Tauruses are also very shy, so a Taurus ascendant, they're going to be seen as maybe much more shy than they really are as a person. Like if they are a Taurus ascendant and a Gemini sun, you're going to say, Gemini doesn't sound like me, but that Taurus ascendant is making you much more shy than what a Gemini would usually be. Once a Taurus makes up their mind, there's really no changing it. So whatever religion you're born into, whatever sorts of values you're born into, or whatever you believe, it's really going to be set in stone. There's probably not much that will change that core value. It's going to be something that you take throughout your whole life. Also, a Taurus ascendant is usually very attached to their possessions as a child. Maybe it's like a rock collection. Their memories are attached to those possessions, like a Horcrux. Their soul is inside of those possessions, and nobody can touch those. Don't mess with them. Taurus ascendants make for great collectors, like working at a gallery, working at a museum or a library, something where you are in charge of taking care of all these things. A Taurus ascendant could be also really great at running an animal shelter. All these animals to feed, and you have to be pragmatic and take care of things. People can really count on you to not be scatterbrained and not to forget anything. Taurus ascendants also make great farmers, but if life needs you to act very quickly, you're at the train station and you meet the woman of your dreams, and then she's just like gonna be getting on the next train. That could create a real dilemma for a Taurus ascendant. They always want to really weigh the options, think about everything, and make their decisions very methodically. So when you need to act quickly, you might really miss out on some opportunities that could be very rewarding. Maybe count on your sun sign in those situations, or your Mars energy. Taurus ascendants are usually kind of old-fashioned. They are not very modern in their presentation, so they're probably going to dress a bit more traditional in the way that they were raised. They're often a bit more conservative, not wanting to show too much skin. But because Taurus is ruled by Venus, they also have a very good sense of style, elegance. Stability is very important to you guys, especially from your childhood. If your parents weren't stable and they expected you to be the stable one, that could really weigh on you very heavily. But often, in a positive sense, Taurus ascendants are born to parents that are more, a little on the boring side, but you don't mind because it's stable. They teach you strong value system, giving you a sense of security and belonging. A Taurus ascendant, because of their environment as a child, they learn that they don't really want to travel too much or cause too much chaos if they don't have their basic needs met first. You know, they're really into that comfort of home, and it's not until that they feel that that is secure that they are willing to go out on adventures. I know a Taurus ascendant, and when I take care of her cats, she always has a laundry list of little details of things to do to make sure her home is left in impeccable condition. Something about your childhood made you rely on material possessions more than other people. Maybe your parents lost everything, and that just gave you like the shock of your life, and now you have trouble letting go and you really cling on to things very strongly. Or maybe they love their possessions and they really put so much value on it, and that's where you learn that the importance of that bank account and the comfort of home and all of those kind of more materialistic things. Also, a Taurus ascendant, their childhood really pushed aesthetics onto them. So they were taught to care about the way things look and the presentation, the formal dining, the organization of the closet, all these kinds of things that other people think, oh, I could take it or leave it or whatever. No, for a Taurus ascendant, it has to be just so. Taurus is all about the five senses. So maybe one of your parents was a cook or ran a restaurant or was a art dealer, something dealing with finance, and you learn these things from your parent. A Taurus ascendant might also have had a childhood where they weren't able to get out of the house a lot. They kind of fear being outside of their comfort zone, and they're not used to being in new places. It feels uncomfortable. People really depend on Taurus ascendants because they know that they can count on them. All right, guys, hope you like my take on Taurus ascendant. Come back for Gemini.